Good morning and welcome to the special edition of Saturday Special Comments. When we look around our society as a whole, we find that this society, which we used to think as a monolith, cohesive unit with no divisions, are no such divisions that were palpable. Has that society changed? Are we still living in a monolith society? A society impervious to any division, any fracture? No. Today the society is fractured, divided, subdivided, and so on. And it is because the social contracts that bound us with one another are being broken slowly. And what are the drivers behind the fracturing of the society? The first driving is globalization. One thing will show that globalization increased competitive pressures. And when the competitive pressures are there, automatically the society would be divided into haves and have-nots. Second is technology. Technology has increased the returns so highly that the skilled labor is happy, but the unskilled labor is suffering. This results in increased inequality. So inequality, which was there at times of haves and have-nots, today is between excessively haves, moderately haves, have-nots, and super have-nots. So the internal cohesion and the ability of the society to hold together has just vanished in thin air. How do we overcome these divisions? How do we set the fractures right? Answer is very clear. We have to rethink the system that binds society together and look after those that adversely affect the structural system. When the cracks appear, sometimes just a plaster is required, and sometimes you have to pull down the wall and build a new one. And our human society has always been looking for mechanisms that look after the young and the old, spreading income over the life cycles, and looking after those who have fallen on hard times. And these can be a combination of family, community, organization. Our social sustainability today is under pressure. Increasing life expectancy means cost of looking after old men has risen, both in the terms of pension and the new medical technologies that prolong life. And then the pharmaceutical industry comes up with new drugs to sustain that prolonged life. We are entering into specialized economies, and unaffordable housing combined with the need of the younger people for a higher level of education, training mean adolescence is prolonged. There was a time when the young used to leave their nest early and start on their own. Today, young people depend on their families for a longer time. Technology and automation are destroying and creating jobs much faster than some workers can adapt with. In most countries, fiscal space to address these subjects has diminished at debt level. Debt levels have risen, and many tax systems have become progressive. So growing equality within the society and also across generations has made tensions all the more clear, all the more throbbing, and all the more divisive. So what we need is a new social contract, and that contract should be more sustainable. We need to rethink the welfare state, what the people used to call social safety net. We need to restore progressive taxation in our systems. Arguably, we have done a poor job of managing social consequences of globalization and technological change. We now have a chance to put together a better, more viable social contract that would be suitable for the 21st century. This is precisely what is required. So what should be the agenda of the plan? That's the most important. If you want to have a new social contract, you need to link retirement with a life expectancy. There was a time when people used to retire at 45, 50, then it became 55, then 60, and then 65. And now countries like Netherlands have increased it to 67. You know, if you link retirement age to the life expectancy, you expand the working age population and reduce the strain on the government budgets caused by spending on the social spending expenses. This would avoid the inevitable political row when it becomes necessary to raise retirement age. And for developing countries with favorable demographics like India, China, linking retirement age to life expectancy as soon as possible would mean minimal political fallout and more time to adjust expectations. And when there's less political fallout, then you can well imagine that the social cohesion would be better. The second part of the new plan should be to help workers adjust to automation with active labor market policies. Estimates vary, they are different, but artificial intelligence and automation in next 2 decades will affect possibly 50% of jobs. And if 50% of the job market is affected, you can well imagine the social conditions. All jobs, including the professions that have aspects which are repetitive, routine, are ripe for the machine learning. The key question today is emerging jobs which are supposed to be created are the ones in which the human skills have a comparative advantage over the machines, or would the new jobs also require human skills only as a complement? So what is more important, human skills or machine learning? One thing is sure, that the workers will have to adjust their ability to work and contribute to society. Given the rapid economic transition that globalization and technology are bringing, we have to adapt our market labor institutions. I was reading somewhere that the London School of Economics has developed a new model. They don't call it social security, they call it flexicurity. So security which is flexible. Today you may have the security, tomorrow you may not need it, and it should be withdrawn. This is a model which has been adopted by Netherlands and Denmark and is a suitable model for the whole of the world to be adopted with adaptations necessary for the social, economic, and political conditions. Now, there are 3 basic principles of this flexi-security model. A, highly flexible labor market contracts that allows employees to adjust quickly. Second is generous social security to provide support during economic transition, not before that, not after that, but only for that period. And thirdly, active labor market policies, including comprehensive lifelong learning to help workers find and be ready for them. The labor union must be compelled to accept economic security rather than job security. Employees must accept the price of flexibility is to pay higher taxes so as the generous unemployment insurance, social assistance, and other active market policies can be adopted. It is accompanied by a highly developed system of lifelong adult education, affordable childcare, and serious public funding to support transitional workers. The third part, or the fourth part would be make part-time work easier. More part-time work would start the change because the nature of the jobs is changing. And most of the jobs would be done by the machines. So part-time jobs should be treated as a full-time job. I find an excellent example in Netherlands, which prohibits discrimination against part-time workers and adjusts social security and other entitlements to pro rata to hours, not to the day, not to the month, not to 6 months. So in Netherlands, 76.6% of women and 26.8% men are working part-time, while in most of the economies of Europe and North America, part-time workers are only 20%, not 76.6%. And the next important agenda would be make lifelong learning real. What is being done by MOOC, what is being done by other continuing agencies, Coursera, is to encourage lifelong learning. And we have seen it successful. Another thing is remove these age limits for access to the student loans. Why should a man at the age of 40, if he wants to go to university, not get a student loan? Singapore is leading the way. They provide every citizen over 25 years age a voucher every year. And this is worth 500 Singapore dollars. So people above the age of 25 every year can get this voucher and they can accumulate it and use it whenever they want a further training in the which is given by the approved providers. So their funds are already there. Then there's need to invest in early education and preventive health interventions. You know, politicians are a curious breed. They talk of state providing a hand up, not a handout. Canadians call it going from a safety net to a trampoline. No, we don't need that. We need policies that are cost effective, and politicians allocate resources to the programs that will not have an immediate result, but will be affected maybe 2 decades after they are elected. So they will only indulge in those programs which are really useful rather than those which help them get votes. Then our tax system needs to be changed. There's evidence that all our tax system is regressive. We made it more progressive. And that is necessary. When the lower top personal tax rates are returned, there's a burden on the middle class. And middle class are the spine of any society which wants to be not fractured, which wants to be sustainable. Normally, the corporate taxes have fallen to 25% around the world, while the taxes on consumption have risen to 19.2%. This has a negative effect on social cohesion and social mobility. We need to restore progressive taxes so that there is an equitable burden. Then the debate has to shift. We talk of them and us. We have to be more conclusive and talk only of us, not them and us. Welfare states are designed on the principle that the most people get back nearly what they put in. No. Welfare state should have 3/4 piggy bank. Mutual insurance over life cycle, that is real. And then 1/4 is Robin Hood, transfer resources from the rich to poor. Today is the other way around. Robin Hood is 75%. And the real welfare is only 25%. We have got to change. There has to be balance over the lifetime. You know, there are political problems. There are political conversations that the welfare states are creating them and us, people on social security, or would always be looked down upon or as a hand-picked voted bank. You know, I'm amazed when people like Bernie Sanders and others say 1% of the total population who rigged the system. That's wrong. Welfare is about helping people who fare well in their lives. But today it has become a negative connotation. It is more of a burden on society. So we need a sensible public debate. And that public debate would bring forth the ideas of the mutual insurance, intergenerational justice, and mutual interdependence. Main thing is the society must be sustainable, equitable investments in health and education, reduce the need of redistribution later in the life, facilitating part-time work, and its taxation extends the work life and has positive benefits of well-being. Education and behavioral changes can increase life expectancy at a lower cost to the health budget than medical intervention. This agenda, in case it's implemented, would result in A, making the societies more cohesive, B, in making them more sustainable, C, in ensuring that the intergenerational and economic divides are not threatening the cohesiveness of our societies. And that is what is needed. Thank you.